Hey there, everyone. I was going to talk about the weather across the country for a few minutes, and we do a few things to talk about, especially as we make our way into Thursday into Friday. Some wintry and icy weather across parts of the central and southern plains, and system of interest for us here in northeastern Colorado, Sunday into Monday. More on that in a few minutes. Current look at water vapor imagery, you can see a pretty broad fetch of moisture. Again, just giving California, especially northern California, a hard time, bringing quite a bit of rain to parts of northern California, and also some feet of snow to the Sierra Nevadas. So more snow on the way for them. And then you can see some mid and upper level moisture associated with cold front pushing across parts of the Midwest at this hour. Illinois, Indiana, some showers and thunderstorms right there right now. We'll get to radar in just a couple of minutes. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what's going on. What happened in Denver today. High temperature today, 13.3 degrees Celsius, that's 56 degrees Fahrenheit. This is our it's 10 to 133, our 6-hour maximum temperature in Denver. So yeah, 10 degrees above average. Should be around 44 degrees this time of year, so another warm day for the books. But we did see a cold front move through northeastern Colorado later this afternoon, and it was a very shallow one. So this is the 0Z Denver sounding. And you can see just most of the influence of the cold front was actually just down at the surface. Above that, the air really didn't change much. Still pretty warm, 40 degrees right above the surface, 31 degrees at the surface at the time of the sounding, which is 5 p.m. local time, Mountain Standard Time. So yeah, really wasn't much moisture to work with. There was a little bit of post-frontal or anticyclonic upslope behind the front. There's that surface high to our northeast, and ushered in some northeasterly or northerly winds behind the front. I believe close to the Wyoming border, maybe near Fort Collins, Greeley, they did manage to squeeze out a couple of snow showers, but really nothing major to talk about, at least for Denver. Current surface observations, you can see temperatures mainly holding in the teens, even a few 20s and 30s as you make your way closer to the foothills. I believe that's Boulder, 34 degrees, winds out of the west, usual downsloping, and looks like we also see some winds have shifted more into a drainage off the Palmer Divide at that southwesterly wind at DIA, which is fairly common. You get the elevated cooling source, and you get the downsloping off the Palmer Divide at night. Slope winds. Won't go into too much detail about that. Maybe I'll talk about it another time. But yeah, fairly quiet evening. Actually not too chilly for us in Denver. Just quiet, enjoy it while it lasts. Current radar picture, you can see that cold front pushing across Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan, bringing a few showers and thunderstorms, a few snow showers across the mountains in western Colorado, and then again your usual showers across northern California, and then again some rain and snow across parts of the northeast at this hour. Yeah, these are just surface observations across parts of the southern and central plains. You can see the front's pretty well defined. Tulsa, 70 over 57 this hour, so just incredibly mild. I think multiple records set across parts of Oklahoma today, getting well up into the mid to upper 70s, and maybe even a few 80-degree readings. I'm not sure, I'd have to double check that. But yeah, moisture return just off the Gulf, 60, upper 50, 60 dew points extending as far north as northern Oklahoma, which is just significant for this time of year. It's January. It's pretty uncommon. And you can definitely see the front. Pretty tremendous temperature gradient. Ponca City, this PNC right here in northern Oklahoma, 38 over 24, and I don't know, maybe about 70, 80 miles away in Tulsa, 70 over 57. So you got a 32 degree temperature difference over just a few tens of miles, which is just pretty significant. And of course, you got those northerly winds behind it. So there's the front, pretty well defined there. This is just current upper air observations, or it's SPC mesoscale analysis, which is actually the RAP model. But anyways, these are just 300 millibar winds and heights, and you can see generally a broad southwesterly flow. You can see a little bit of a jet core across parts of the Midwest into Iowa and Missouri, and nudging into Kansas and Nebraska, 125, 130 knot jet there. But really interesting stuff's going to be Thursday night and a Friday, and just going to pull up a sounding actually that I just kind of cherry picked off the GFS, the 0Z GFS spot in southeastern Kansas, and See pretty classic freezing rain sounding. You got 27 degrees at the surface, very moist, 0.64 inches of precipitable water, and then you get that classic warm nose with that layer that's above freezing, just above the surface. And what that tends to do is get a lot of melting in that warm layer, and then freezes on contact with the ground at the surface, so you get your freezing rain. So ice is definitely a concern, especially as we head Thursday night and Friday across much of Oklahoma into Kansas and southwestern Missouri. So not going to get too far into details there because freezing rain is very hard to forecast, but it should be mentioned. That's a dangerous looking sounding, especially with that much moisture involved in that too. Anyways, yeah, right now just there's your 850 millibar winds. It's the analysis hour from the 0Z NAM. See 50, 60 knot low level jet in the parts of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. That's helping bring in some of that Gulf moisture. Low level jets really help with moisture transport. Just above the surface, you get that decoupling of the boundary layer from free atmosphere, and then winds tend to accelerate just above that decoupling. That gives us the low level jet, and you can see fairly broad southerly flow at 850 millibars, as depicted by the 0Z NAM. This is just the GFS. These are 500 millibar heights and anomalies. Just going to kind of flip through this. There's our system of concern for northeastern Colorado. Yeah, I guess I should just mention another fairly dry day tomorrow. There really isn't much moisture for us to work with here in Denver, as you just saw in those surface observations. Winds have already kind of shifted out of the southwest. So it should be a fairly quiet and average next couple of days here in Denver. As we head into Sunday into Monday, that's when things start to get a little bit more interesting. As you can see, this closed low starting to dig into parts of California, and that will continue to dig. And then it starts to lift off, and it closes off not quite at the perfect spot for what we want to see when we're talking about heavy snowfall accumulations. Southwestern Kansas, Oklahoma Panhandle, Texas Panhandle, sure. Even southeastern Colorado, sure. Could get a good amount of snow, but typically Denver would want to see that close low a little bit further north and west. Close off, yeah, Burlington, Lamar, that area. But yes, might be a little bit too far south and east for our dream snowstorm, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if you hate snow, but I actually like snow. So not going to get too far into details about that. You should follow Weather 5280. Just a great source. We do updates all the time. So stay tuned to us, and we'll continue to keep you updated. Yeah, and then ridging across the eastern part of the country. Then you can see the weather actually remains fairly active. Just little kind of waves pushing through northeastern Colorado, and then some really chilly air looks to settle in later next week. Obviously not going to get too far into detail about that, but that looks like the trend. Kind of a long wave trough establishes itself across much of the western part of the country, and that the blues here is what you see lower heights than what we normally see for this time of year, based on the area or region climatology. Yeah, I'll do one of these next week. Actually will. So yeah, everyone have a good rest of your week, and hope to do one of these soon. All right, bye.